Okay, this is Operation Mind Control by Walter Bowart. And I believe Mr. Bowart passed away back in 2007 or so. This is considered kind of one of the first really definitive books on the CIA's mind control program. And believe this was originally published in 78. I'm going to just double check, but and yep, 1978. And the interesting thing about this book was it allegedly the CIA tried to buy up a fair amount of the copies to keep it off the market. Don't know if that's urban legend or true or not, but I know when I first found my copy I think I finally ran down a copy in 2009, I believe, and I think I paid probably 50, 60 bucks for paperback copy then. So it was not cheap. Now, the interesting thing is, so this was in 78, and this was considered kind of one of the first definitive books that really cataloged some of has a really good list of chapters on everything from implants and hypnosis, and this is a good kind of overview of the CIA's mind control program, and pretty well researched for the time, as well as he was able to research it. Highly recommend this if you're into the mind control, the subject of mind control, and looking into the CIA's MK Ultra program and all that. This is definitely a must-have, must-read book. Now, the other thing that you can find now, and it's a lot easier to find than when I first found my copy, was also, this is in 1995, I believe, or 95 or 96, Walter Bowart printed this, or wrote the Operation Mind Control, the Researcher's Edition. Now, what this is a follow-up to this book, and this you can actually find, I think now you can find it readily available on Amazon. It's not cheap. I think it's still like 40, 50 bucks. But as you can see, I mean, it's a massive book. It's well worth it. But I lucked into one of the copies, one of the original copies, which the way this originally worked was you bought the rights to publish it and you went to a copy place and he gave you permission, and he gave you like a signed letter that allowed them to print it off for you from a digital file in the late 90s. So that's what this is. This is one of the original prints that someone had made and that I was able to buy. So this picks up where this leaves off. This is definitely a great follow-up with a lot more updated. Obviously, this coming out in 1978. Some of that was a little bit dated, so he comes back and follows up with a lot of new information about neuro-linguistic programming, a lot of current case information about things that had been happening up to that point. Also some of the NLP stuff is really fascinating. That alone is worth digging into the Researcher's Edition. Also some stuff about Waco and the events of Waco, which way too much for me to really get into in a review, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. So if you're into this sort of thing, if you're into researching the MK Ultra program, this has some great information. This is one of those that you could go through for months back and forth through this, Googling some of this stuff and checking this out, because there's so much information in here. So can't recommend these two enough. This is definitely kind of the backbone of my mind control section of my library. Lots of good information. And again, a lot of this is, because even this now is somewhat dated. So it's 95, 96. Some of this is now approaching 25 years old. So some of this now is a little bit dated, but still definitely worth getting into. And Walter Bowart is a good writer too. So a lot of this is very well explained. He does a good job of putting a lot of this in layman's terms, so a lot of this is easier to grasp some of the concepts, especially, like I said, in this when he explains some of the NLP techniques. So Anyway, Walter Bowart, Operation Mind Control, and also for those of you who are curious, he has some good interviews that are actually up on YouTube, the audio of which you can find on YouTube. So definitely search that out. Operation Mind Control, Walter Bowart. Search it on YouTube, and you'll find some good interview material on there too.